Hey guys, Woody the Unexceptional Gamer, and this is Feedback Friday. It's a weekly series. I take your questions over Twitter, and I answer them. If you're missing out on Twitter, you're missing out on the other half of YouTube. Anyway, I was going to do this whole COD footage. I've got plenty. I've been playing a little bit more. I've got some games, but they're all like 6 to 10 minutes long, and I'm in a good mood, and I'm feeling really chatty. So I thought, you know what? I don't want to be bound by some 6-minute gameplay. I'm going to take more questions. I liked the questions I was getting. So anyway, here we go. Woody, how did game battles go? For people that don't know, I started playing game battles back in Modern Warfare 2, which was actually, as much as I fuss about Modern Warfare 2, it was really good for game battles, you know, when they removed all the bad stuff. What we want to do is we want to come back with an awesome game. We want to have an epic win or loss. It just needs to be close. It needs to be filled with like emotion and intrigue. And like, if you've never seen my game battle stuff with T Martin before, it's some of my favorite things I've ever done, like on YouTube. I'll throw in a link to the description or the annotation or something. But we don't want to come back with like an ordinary game, a blowout win or a blowout loss. Our first night we played, the #1 player on planet Earth in game battles challenged us, and we played him. I'll upload it. I'm not hiding it. He live streamed it, Bezo. But it's not the kind of game that we want to come back with like, you know, our return to game battles. I want people to see it. Probably a lot of people have never even seen my game battle stuff before. And I know T-Mart's channel from last year's, I don't know, he's probably gained 500,000 subs in the last year or something crazy like that. So there's a lot of people who've never seen our stuff, and we don't want to come back with something ordinary. We want to come back with something great. So we're kind of waiting to get, you know, one of those special, really close back and forth games before we upload the first one. How did it go? A bunch of tech problems, bunch of connection issues. You know, sometimes we were just mismatched in terms of skill, but you know, we'll get a good game, and it should be a good video. I can't wait. What is cool is T Mart and I are both like playing together a lot again, and you know, we're like, it's nice to have that back, and I'm really happy about that. And yeah, so like, you know, that's the nice thing. That to me, that's the best part of the whole deal. Like I'm playing with T Mart, my friend, again, and that's a good deal. CPU versus APU. I think the Xbone has an APU supposedly, while the PS4 has a regular CPU. No, actually they both have APUs, and what it means is that the graphics card and the CPU are sort of combined onto a single chip, and they share bandwidth through the motherboard, like to the RAM, for example. This GPU and CPU functions both share that bandwidth. They're actually really close in terms of performance. I look forward to seeing the unit shipped. Right now everything is theoretical. We talk about the bandwidth of the memory, the speed of this and that. I want to see how the actual chips perform, right? Like they use different graphics instructions, for example. I think DirectX 11.2 was just announced for Windows 8 and for the Xbox, and you know, I'd like to see how that. I think the PS4 uses the OpenGL stuff, and you know, we'll wait and see. I think at this point, like, all the analysis on the hardware has been done, and it's time to see the proof in the pudding. It looks like the hardware on the PS4 is a little bit better, but you know, it's getting to be like, all right, you know, we've looked at it. Let's see how it really performs, you know, as it comes out. MMA, are you better at striking or grappling? So the answer is grappling, but it's funny, you caught me today on Fridays I spar, right? I do like I do boxing as my striking lately. I did some Muay Thai before, but my boxing's probably better than my Muay Thai. Anyway, I was doing boxing today, and for whatever reason, today I was like the super version of me. The guy I was sparring with most of the time, he's stronger than me, but he's shorter, and I don't know, like I would guess he might be a better brawler, but I was boxing the crap out of him. I don't know. I'm trying to be modest about it, but like it was just totally going my way. You know, he had a headgear on. You know, boxers wear that headgear that kind of covers your cheeks and your forehead, and I was hitting him in the forehead because it's nicer. It's like a training partner thing instead of popping him right in the nose in training. And it said Everlast on it. It was like this. For me, it might have just been a bullseye, and I was just able to like box him and pop him in the forehead like repeatedly. I was able to keep my range. He wants to get on the inside because he's smaller and he's stronger, and I wanted to keep him on the outside because I'm longer. And for what, I don't know. I don't want to talk forever about boxing and striking and stuff, but my boxing today, it was probably my best boxing day that I've had, you know, since I started training again, and it made me feel good. It made me feel good about myself because my coach, when he watches you, he just freaking corrects everything, you know? And it's like, nah, Woody, you know, keep your chin over your balls, answer the phone, ain't nobody gonna be home, which means like keep your hands up by your ears, you know, watch your footwork, where's your left toe pointing right now? And then, you know, what are you doing? And it's like this nonstop like corrective stuff makes me feel like I've never done anything right. And then today's sparring lesson went so well, it made me feel like I was doing everything right. And on the other hand, I know that he didn't have his best day, and maybe I need to advance as a training partner and make him have a better day. I'm not so sure what I was supposed to do, but yeah, I was a super version of me, but still my grappling is at a much higher level than my striking is. That's just where I am at the moment. Do you think that Titanfall will be the COD killer that everybody is talking about? You know, I was talking to T-Mart about this yesterday, and if you guys have heard me for a long time, I've been saying that the next version of console will bring in the COD killer, right? COD's going to continue to be the top game on console for the rest of the current gen, and that turned out to be accurate. You know, COD, if you look right now, 4 of the top 12 games are the most recent Call of Duties. So, and by the way, it also has the #1 spot. So on console, Call of Duty is by far the #1 game. On PC, I guess it's League of Legends, but I'm talking about console. So, you know, but then I look at the next version of games and I think, you know, like what's the COD killer? It might be Battlefield 4, right? You know, there's that thing, but something about the way COD moves is really fun, right? It's kind of arcadey. There's so much action. You like that sort of jumping sideways to lower the damage from a grenade, jumping through windows, and like you're like a Superman. Whereas Battlefield 4 is somewhere in between COD and Gears of War, in my opinion, on how the character moves. Like if you go Gears of War, it's almost like you're piloting a tank, in my opinion. You know, maybe you guys do it better, but whatever. It's almost like you're piloting a tank. Whereas in Call of Duty, you're piloting like Captain America, like agility and you know, fun. So I'm just waiting for a game to do that. But man, I don't know what's going to kill COD. As I look at them out there, Titanfall looks awesome. I'm really excited about Titanfall. But it's not on the PS4, or if it is, it's not going to be on the PS4 anytime soon. I've been hearing rumors that maybe they could kind of, or something, go to the PS4 someday. But it doesn't look like it's going to be on the PS4. It's just Xbox One and PC. So because of its exclusivity, it can't be the COD killer, right? You know, that to me ends that deal. Then what else could be the COD killer? Is it going to be like, what is it, Destiny or something? Like the Watch Dogs? No. I don't think it's going to be a single player game. To me, for maximum replayability, it has to be like a sort of competitive game. Like I love Borderlands, right? It's been almost my addiction recently. But I just don't see a game like Borderlands. I think you love it when the DLC comes out, you see the story, you do whatever, and then you put it down and play COD until something else comes along. I liked Assassin's Creed while I was playing it, but I don't think Assassin's Creed will ever be a COD killer. It's just not that kind of game. Like it doesn't have, in my opinion, the replayability that something like Call of Duty does. Call of Duty to me is like pickup basketball. I use that comparison a lot. Somehow you can just go and you can play, and yeah, it's the same thing all the time, and yeah, it's the same rules all the time. But that's also true with, you know, European football or pickup basketball or whatever. Like it doesn't really have to be something different every time to be a good game, according to me. So yeah, you know, what's it gonna be? I don't know. I think the new consoles will bring a COD killer, but you know, T-Mart's like listing all the games, and we couldn't pick which one would be the COD killer. So I guess we'll wait and see. But will it be Titanfall? Nah, it can't be a single platform game. What's your take on the Aaron Hernandez case? Dude, did you see the evidence against that guy? It is spooky how much they can know about us. Like, I did not know that level of surveillance existed in the U.S., you know, and all the NSA stuff about them listening to your phone and you know, tapping into your calls aside, man, they totally outlined this guy, like, everywhere he went. Every time he used his cell phone, they'd know which towers it came off of. Every time he, sent a text message, they knew where he was. He was passing like traffic cams and like those automated toll things, and like they followed his exact path for like the entire weekend. They knew everything about what he did. This guy's guilty, man. Like he did it. And he's going to go to jail. And, you know, like, all right, so a murder happened in the U.S. That sucks. It's hardly even news because, you know, we get plenty of murder. There's 315 million people here. Some of them are going to kill each other. What the news story is to me is the level of surveillance that they had on this guy. That they have him dead to rights. And I did not realize just how much the police and my government knew about me. They, you know, if you're buying things, of course, with credit cards, they track that down. If you're driving in a car with he rented a car and they just tracked down his rental car everywhere that it went. And, yeah, so he's going to get busted. That's just the deal. That's my thoughts on the case. What is it like being an honorary member of Optic during MLG Anaheim? It's cool. So Optic, I think, is the most popular team out there. Maybe I'm skewed, you know, because I like the guys and everything. But it's like they're a really good team, and they're a really good bunch of guys, and those two things added together are going to lead to a lot of popularity. This year, Farico has been like if you've been watching MLG stuff at all, then you know Farico's on fire. They're doing fantastic, and I hope that this is the weekend that the Optic guys unseat them. You know, I talked to Optic Hex. He sort of runs the team, and he said he was confident that he would win. So. Problem solved. That's enough of that. One of the things that's cool about Optic is Optic Hex. He's a fantastic guy. Like anybody that knows him, I know NaDeSHoT is really grateful for the guidance and opportunities that he's presented him with, and you know, you won't find a guy who knows Optic Hex who doesn't think really highly of him. He's just like he's a good guy. He's like an honorable guy, right? How often do you use that adjective to describe somebody? But he is a man who is filled with honor, and I feel lucky to have the relationship with him that I do. So, you know, how does it feel to be an honorary member of Optic during MLG Anaheim? That's just who I root for, man. You know, part of the reason that I'm talking about them in this video is just, you know, so maybe people take an interest in esports, and you know, if you don't have a team to pull for already, pull for Optic because those guys are fantastic people. Thoughts on T Martin and Team Envious partnership? I hope it works out well for both of them. T Mart's always been supportive of the Envious guys, sort of in the same way that I have been of the Optic guys, and you know, he can sort of promote them and help out the team and do his thing. I was actually just talking to him on the phone, you know, to make sure I had the whole story straight before I made this video. And I wished him well and said that I hope he gets second place. So, you know, I hope that it works out for those guys. And I think that it will. I think that T-Mart can bring a lot to Envious. You know, he's not a coach. He's not a player. He's not those things. What he is he's kind of a manager and a promoter, and you know, he can do that. That's well within his skill set. You know, T-Mart's a guy who's played competitively, but with the exception of a few YouTubers, like if you've ever played with the high-level pros like the Envious guys or the Optic guys, then you know there's like a big skill gap in between, you know, the average YouTuber and you know, a kind of pro like you'd see on Optic or Envy. So, you know, we don't pretend to be the guy that should coach them, or, you know, they were going to have me coach Optic one time. They were talking about doing it, and Optic usually plays without a coach, so I could just sort of go up there and be quiet and not cause any problems. I think that was like kind of the idea, but I didn't want, you know, there would be a lot of people who would have negative feelings about that. And I was like, I don't think it's a win for either one of us. I think a lot of people will, you know, fuss at you guys for me being there and fuss at me for being there. And like, why don't you guys just go, you do your thing, and I'll root for you in the front row. That's the position that I really like to have. Anyway, I somehow turned that about me. I think that Team Art and Envious would be a pretty good partnership, and he can help them raise their visibility level to the next level, whatever that is, because they're already a name brand team. Woody, if you could be any type of successful YouTuber, what would you choose? Can't pick COD commentator. Yeah, so, you know, like I think one of the things I'd like to do more, like, all right, so Devin Supertramp, he's the one I'd pick, I think. And what's different about his channel compared to a lot of other YouTube channels is the life experiences that he gets to go gather. That's, to me, the cool part. Like, playing video games is incredible and it's awesome, and I'm thankful for being where I am. But dude, like he travels, and I feel like he becomes like richer emotionally based on his job than like a gaming guy does, who becomes, well, I guess richer financially. But I imagine Devin's getting both sides of that, right? Everything is going great when things are hot. That's what I like about his gig. Like I feel like it enhances the man behind the channel, whereas gaming, while being fun and cool and in terms of jobs, this has to be in the top 1%. It doesn't like enrich you emotionally in the same way that constantly traveling to Europe and Ohio and Hawaii, I meant to say, and Africa and things like that do. So if I could be anything, I think I'd just travel the world and take amazing video of amazing things happening. That's his gig, and I think that would be, anybody would take that. Which movie franchise was worse, Transformers or Twilight? All right. I'll warn you, I picked this question in spite of the fact that I'm totally not qualified to answer it. I haven't seen any of the Twilight movies. I've seen like clips, I've seen trailers for them, and I feel like I have a vibe for what they're like, but I've never sat through an entire Twilight. I have seen a Transformers or two, and to me, they are the cinematic equivalent of banging pots and pans together. I can't follow, like, even which, like, the good guys are like a gray motion blurred bunch of CGI crap, and the bad guys are a gray motion blurred bunch of CGI crap, and I can hardly tell which one's the good guy, which one's the bad guy, and which one's the building that they're smashing each other into. I am almost frustrated by the Michael Bay stuff because the action scenes are so terrible, and that movie is about the action scenes. I'm gonna have to say Transformers is worse, and I know I haven't seen Twilight, and probably a lot of you guys will disagree, but man, the Transformers had the potential to be something awesome, but in reality, it's just something crappy because somehow they decided that it was really just about really loud audio and confusing CGI bullshit, and it bums me out that Transformers is what it is. Maybe it's your cup of tea. I don't know. I just didn't like it. The SRAM on the Xbone being more powerful on production models. All right, so I made a video, Tech Tuesday. I'll put an annotation on the screen or something, I hope. And I talked about the memory subsystems on the PS4 and the Xbox One. And since that video, just this week actually, they came out and said that the memory bandwidth on the SRAM is somewhat better than they originally said it was. And they're acting like it's double, but that's kind of a bullshit answer, and I'll explain. What's happening here is they're saying that the RAM can be read and written to at the same time, which somehow makes it like double the bandwidth that they thought it was. And that's kind of theoretical. I mean, there are 8 CPUs, like 8 CPU cores on this thing, so it is possible that they'll be reading and writing at the same time, which would be impossible if there was only one. But the reality is, unless you have an equal number of reads and writes, you'll never achieve that theoretical 190 gigabit per second bandwidth that they're talking about. Like I said earlier in this video, it's getting to the point where it's like, all right, it's totally time to stop talking about theoretical benchmarks and memory bandwidth and stuff like that. And it's time to start talking about actual game performance. How many frames per second are we getting in this? What is the actual playability difference between, this game and that game that both run on cross-platform? I love looking at tech specs as much as the next guy. And I might even make a full video explaining this ESRAM thing if there's a big need for it. But I think for the most part, what they're saying is kind of a way to just invent a number that's bigger than the number that they have on the PS4. Like, well, in theory, if there's an equal number of reads and writes at all time, then our cache has better bandwidth than the PS4's theoretical system bus bandwidth. And it's like, you're really kind of stretching here to act as if you've got more memory bandwidth because your cache is competitive with the main system memory on the PS4. That is the deal. So there it is. And it's funny, like, I swear I do all these unbiased even evaluations, and then they still say I'm an Xbox fanboy. So go ahead, leave your comment. But the truth is, they're stretching the performance by talking about the read-write simultaneous thing on the RAM on the Xbox One. Woody, what are the perks to being big on YouTube? Do random people try to buy you a drink? Yeah, I get that. It happens on Twitter. They're like, Woody, you know, you're going to E3. I totally want to buy you a drink. And like for me, it's a mixed bag. Like on one hand, I understand the gesture. I totally see it. They're saying, Woody, I really enjoy your stuff. I'd love to buy you a drink as a thank you. But from my perspective, it can sort of read as like, hey, Woody, I really enjoy your stuff. I'd like to have 45 minutes of one-on-one time with you. And it's like, oh, that's such a big ask, that E3 might be fun for you, but it's like a business trip for me. This is like the one time of year where I'm, trying to meet vendors and stuff like that. And, I'm sure you're a lovely guy, but 45 minutes like in a bar with you is like, this is critical time. I could be doing that 45 minutes with, like a game developer or something like that. But yeah, people, do nice gestures and stuff like that all the time. Sometimes I get like gift certificates to Amazon in the mail. One guy sent me MMA shorts, like fight shorts that say Black Ops 2 on them, which is super cool. That in general, like every time I meet someone, it's really a positive experience. It's I don't know, my subscribers are super cool, so I appreciate that about them. Does Jackie love your beard? No, she hates my beard. She always tells me that I look like a terrorist, which isn't really complimentary. And two, and this is true, I've been kind of lucky that I have hardly any gray hair on my head. Like if you were to look really closely, I'd have like 2 or something like that. But heck, there are people in high school who have 2 gray hairs. I've been totally lucky with gray hairs on my head, but in my beard, there's like a gazillion of them. So if I grow one, I instantly look like way older than I do without it. So that makes me tend to not grow the beard too. But the core thing is Jackie doesn't like it. She doesn't like the way that it feels. She doesn't like the way that it looks. And the way that we work in our marriage anyways, we feel as if we have a certain responsibility to be attractive to our pairing. So if she doesn't like my beard, then I don't wear a beard, when she's around. Anyway, she goes on trips sometimes, and whatever, I get input on her grooming habits as well. So that's what we do. Can you talk about DDoS and how it's going, and has it happened recently? Nope. So I've live streamed a couple of times lately, and I haven't been DDoSed. It's way easier to DDoS me when 2 things happen. 1, the old version of Skype, you could look at my IP address, and 2, when I play with subscribers, right? Every time I play with a sub, then that sub is a potential risk to DDoS me. If they know what they're doing and it's not hard, then they can figure out like who the host is in the game and start DDoSing me from that. So that's a risk. I like playing with my subscribers, but it really opens you up to one of them DDoSing you. And that's the deal. The corollary question of this is PKA, will that be live again? And I'm going to say maybe for a special occasion or something. But for the most part, I've been having a really good time with PKA not being live. And I feel like the show has been as good as it's ever been. So I'm not tempted to bring PKA live again, maybe for a special event or something like that. Will you be able to have NaDeSHoT or Hex on PKA? Hex has been on PKA before. He does a real good job. NaDeSHoT, he's on our short list of guys to get. I talked to him about it, and we kind of agreed in principle, although we didn't have a date. I was actually kind of thinking this weekend for NaDeSHoT, but he's at MLG Anaheim, so he's totally not available for Painkiller already this weekend. But one of the weeks coming up soon, we'll get NaDeSHoT on, and it will be cool. So that's my thoughts on that. Just an ordinary question, but how's life, man? I think I'll wrap up with this. You are catching me in a really good mood. I had a great day of training. I've got this, what my wife calls a mancation, this thing coming up. You guys have heard me talk about it. I'm going to Boston. I'm going to train. Maybe it's the exercise. Maybe it's just things are going well. I'm kind of on top of the world right now. And that's a really cool thing. If I had any concerns at the moment, aside from the ordinary long-term stuff, like making my kids successful and such, it would be that while I'm in Boston, I don't want my channel to suck. I'm kind of taking a vacation, and I want it to be good even while I'm doing other stuff. So now, hopefully you guys are interested in vlogs, just me out there and hanging with guys and stuff, or whatever. I just want the channel to be great, even though I'm multitasking while I'm out there, and we'll see. A lot of guys have asked for vlogs, so I'll give you some. Anyway, Yeah, I'm kind of on a high right now. Things are cool. So I guess I'll kick off the render. Thanks, guys.